They gotta let you travel. I'm gonna keep this petition going.
You gotta check with Georgia.
Yeah, you know what? You know what? Paul Allen, the way that things, you know.
Fair enough. It seemed like you're feeling a little better. You had a little time to kind of process things from Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, it's another week. You know, it's another opponent. You know, everything. You know, kind of starts over.
Was there any fallout at all that you had to deal with, talk about?
No, no. I mean, we're ball club. I mean, things happen. We came out with the win, and we move on to the next week.
Would you regret anything or wish you'd done something different?
No, nothing at all.
What are those Monday meetings like when you guys get in your position rooms? If there's something to talk about, I guess, how does that generally go?
It goes basically the same. You know, we go over the mistakes that were made, the adjustments that we have. Pete plays a highlight video, and then you go home.
I saw you tweet initially the other night about the beginning of the play with Julio. Everybody's talked about the end of the play. Did you have, obviously you're making a comment there about that part
Yeah,
of it.
you know, it's just how people see things, you know. I mean, even the NFL, you know, played a video and didn't show the front of the play. You know, that's just how this league is about defensive players, you know.
Did you think that was intentional on their part, or just
100% intentional. That's just how the league is. You know, it's an offensive league. They don't want to help the defense in the least.
How did the start of that play affect the whole play for you?
Well, it's difficult to recover when you almost fall at the beginning of the play. You know, you get pushed in the face. If I pushed the receiver in the face, I guarantee you it'd be the highlight of every Sports Center, everything. If that was the fourth quarter, the last play, and I pushed him in the face. But it is what it is.
Was that pretty extreme? I mean, does that happen? How often does that happen?
It happens a lot. Happens a ton. It happened to Chris Harris Jr. first game of the season, and he got hands to the face called. It was a very funny play. You know, it's a 6'5", 240-pound receiver, and Chris Harris at 5'10", maybe 200, getting mushed in the face and trying to defend himself, and he gets called. You know, but I think that's just a microcosm of how the league is called.
When did you catch up to him? I mean, when did you feel back into the play? How far into the route?
Well, I tried to get right back into the play. I mean, it's the last play of the game with the game on the line, so you gotta just keep going, keep playing.
When you guys know it, that was a desperation play for them. It's 4th and 10. There's not a lot. They had to continue to pass. It looked like the best they were hoping for there was a penalty call. Do you play that any different?
No, you don't play any different. But that's the league you play in. You know, 4th and 10 for the game. You know, they can just throw one up and hope for a flag, and you know, then you deal with that at the end. But it is what it is. We won the game.
if you were going to change the rules on pass interference, how would you do it?
I'd make it 15 yards like college. I'd make both sides 15 yards, offensive and defensive, because it's not as much of a penalty. You know, offensive player can stop a turnover, and it's a 10-yard penalty, and they might still get the first down. A defensive player, they say, oh, he was about to stop a touchdown, so they give him a spot foul. You know, that's the difference.
Would you like to see that be a play that's reviewable?
No, because it's you know, everything in slow motion looks, if you watched every offensive snap of the line play in slow motion, it would look like a hold of some sort, or hands to the face, or, you know, it's just football. If you replay everything, then it's penalty on every play. Every play on the line, every play in the secondary, you can call a penalty anytime on both sides of the ball.
Has it changed? I mean, you've been in the league 6 years. Is it being officiated differently now than it was early in your career?
No, it's been officiated the same. I mean, they've had the 5-6 calls on the defensive side of the ball for forever now, for a long time, since I've been in the league. So that hasn't changed at all.
I think you mentioned a couple weeks ago the refs aren't always in the best position. Do you think that could change?
No, it's not going to change because it's not affecting the offense. It's not affecting points being scored. They don't care if the defense not getting calls.
What is the angle like from there?
They're watching the back of the defender, and they're just watching the defender. So they're behind the defender, watching the receiver. So if the receiver pushes anything, they usually say the hands, you know, they can't see it because they're watching the back of the defender.
Do you think there's a line between admirable passion and distraction?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the team's situation and who's doing it. I think a lot of people who've never played the game would never understand the difference. So it'd be difficult for me to explain it to people who haven't played.
Richard, in regards to the touchdown that you were upset about on Sunday, it just kind of felt like, for lack of a better term, that you didn't get the call. Is that what happened out there?
No, it was just mischeck. It was just mischeck by two guys. It was just one of those things that could have been communicated better.
Richard, what makes you guys so great at stopping the run in terms of the cornerbacks, linebackers as a unit, and
The D-line, Tony McDaniel, Atuba Rubin, Mike Bennett, those guys make a huge difference. Michael Bennett obviously is a deterrent. Jaron Reed has done a great job. Yeah, those are the guys that make a huge difference that don't get a lot of credit. I think Tony McDaniel has been the unspoken, the quiet MVP of our defense and our defensive line. I think he's been a great pickup for us. Obviously great to have him back, but he's made a huge impact every game. And nobody's going to say it because it doesn't always show up on the stat sheet, but he's done a phenomenal job in the middle of our defense, solidifying it. And Big Rube always, consistent effort, consistent knockback. And those guys, give our linebackers the freedom to move and to shoot gaps and things of that nature.
Did you and Chris Richard talk after the game at all, or was there a need for any more of a talk than normal? Or
it wasn't much of a need. We've had a conversation, but nothing outside of the norm. I think everything is pretty much understood.
Have you seen a difference in Earl this season? We were kind of wondering last year maybe he was still dealing with recovering from the shoulder, and this year looks high revving.
Yeah, I mean, he looks as good as he's ever looked. But I think last year it was just one of those odd years for everybody. It was just an off year for us as a team. And I think everybody's kind of firing on all cylinders. And Earl's playing confidently. He's trusting himself. He's playing instinctual. He's hitting well. He's tackling. He's doing everything that we need him to do, and it's showing.
What's he bring to the defense when he's at his best?
A tenacity, relentlessness, fearlessness. He's everywhere you need him to be, and everywhere the quarterbacks wish he wasn't. And as you can see, any ball goes up in the air, there's not a place he can't get to it.
Seems like you've always had a healthy respect for Larry Fitzgerald. Maybe talk about why that is.
Oh, because he's a great professional. He's a pro's pro. He goes out there every day and works hard, plays hard. Plays between the whistle, tries to help his team win. You got to respect the guy. He does a great job in the community with his philanthropy, and have a ton of respect for that.
And you seem to bring the same level of intensity to every game you play, but do you even maybe ratchet it up more when there's another great corner on the opposite side?
No, it's all the same. It's all the same. You go out there, championship game. You know how Pete has us trained. So it's just another championship opportunity.
Have you and the defense gotten to the point where you don't think a team should score touchdowns on you?
Yeah, we're always to that point. We're frustrated when if they're going to score, it's going to be a very difficult score. It's going to be something that was just a dogfight. We hate to give up the easy ones.
on that last play you talked about, you said after the game that the refs were kind of letting you play. When that happens at the beginning of the snap and who kind of does it, I mean, is that sort of the mindset of the whole play, like, this play is kind of, they're going to let us play and I got to do whatever it takes here?
Well, I mean, when you get done like that at the beginning of the snap, I mean, you don't have a choice but to keep playing. So if they don't call it, it's not like you're going to go into the play and say, oh, man, at the end, you're going to say, oh, man, he pushed me at the line of scrimmage, and everybody's going to feel sorry for you. No, you just called it, and they won the game. So at that point, you just go do whatever you have to do to make the play and put yourself back in position.
In the first game last year with Arizona, they got 39 points. What do you recall from that game about why they were so successful?
A few missed tackles, a few mishaps, just bad ball by us, bad eyes, bad technique a lot of times. Just bad ball. It was just one of our worst games, and then, we go play them at home and just play a sound football game.
Statistically, their yards per pass is down quite a bit from this year. Do they look any different in terms of how often they're trying to get it downfield vertically at all this year? Or?
No, they're trying to get it down the field just the same amount of time. They're not hitting on the same amount as they are, but, that could always change. Last year, Carson was on an incredible tear, and things just aren't falling the same way for him right now. But as you know, things can change in this league on drop of a dime.
How unique is David Johnson?
He's pretty unique. I mean, but he's no more unique than Coleman from last week. They had a pair of great backs last week. He's done a great job getting yards. I think he leads the league in yards right now, and so you gotta make sure you account for him, obviously, in their run game. But it's just about playing sound football.
What makes Bobby and KJ so good in coverage, especially against guys like that?
They play sound. They play sound. They play technique. They understand where their help is. They understand their leverage, and they have a great understanding of what's coming out at them in terms of the plays and the route concepts that they're getting.
How has the increased blitzing, the linebacker blitzing the last half year or so help your game and coverage?
Well, rush and coverage always work together, so the more pressure they can get on them, the less time we have to cover. But it's just allowed us to play more man-to-man, more tight coverage. There's less holes. When you're playing zone and you're laying back, you give them more comfort. The quarterback more time to throw the ball. And this year, those guys are getting after them, and they got less time. We're tighter coverage. So better things are happening.
Richard, understanding every week is a championship week, but has there been any talk that if you go down and beat Arizona down there, you really put them behind the 8 ball in terms of fighting you for the division?
No, we don't think about anything like that. We just, because you want to win every game. So if you start treating them different, as Pete always says, then you start getting into the peaks and the valleys of the game.
Talked earlier this season about Sean Shedd. I think you called it robotic consistency or something like that. How much does that help him in a game like last week when they're maybe testing him over and over and they hit it on him and he's able to make a play, keep playing the third down at the end of the game?
It's good for him. It's perfect. He wouldn't have it any other way, and it's great for later on down the line when we run into these situations again, because he's getting the full experience, the full breadth of playing game in and game out, and understanding that the different matchups you're going to have to deal with, the different situations you're going to be put in, and he's standing up. He's doing a great job. He's understanding that you worry about the next play, you go out there, he's tackling well. You can't say enough great things about how well he's playing. He's really solidifying our defense, and so is Jeremy Lane. Jeremy Lane is playing fantastic football.
A couple of weeks ago, you made a video in which you questioned the sincerity of the NFL regarding player safety. Have you had much blowback on that?
In terms of criticism?
Well, yeah, positive, negative, whatever.
I've gotten a lot of positive. It's just, kind of saying what everybody already knew, a lot for the most part in terms of the players' feedback. You got these Thursday night games where everybody's coming off a Sunday game, and if you could see how players are walking after a Sunday game and to make them play 3-4 days later is and then say you're concerned about player safety is hilarious in its own right. But
Did the league respond?
No, the league didn't respond. They didn't say anything, and they never say anything.
Hey, Richard, going back to your comment about bad eyes, are you talking about the ball, the area, the man, or all of the above?
All of the above, because it all concerns itself. It's like on a play action fake. If guys have bad eyes, then they get sucked up, and then the ball goes behind them, or on a double move or things like that. So it could happen in a number of things. You could not see the guard pulling on a run action, and it leaves you backside, and gets you blocked. You get pinned backside. So things like that, we just didn't have great eyes and great discipline that game.
Larry Fitzgerald came to your softball. How much does that respect show to you that he would take out his time and come up and?
Oh, it's humbling. Like I said before, it's a great deal of respect, and I really appreciate that. And I try to make sure we make it out to each other's games. This year I was unable to make it to his, but he's an outstanding guy. He's an outstanding man, and he does a great job in the community, and he really cares a lot about making a difference in this world, and I think that shows in his actions.
Richard, how much do you use the tablets, or do you use them at all on the sideline to review what happened on the previous series?
Do you want a Belichick response? We look at the pictures as much as you need to look at the pictures and see what you need to see, but not any more than we use the paper that we used to have. I mean, you look at the plays, you make the corrections, and you go back out there. It was a little different, I guess, in the preseason when they had the video on it, because you could watch the video, you could watch the tape. But, yeah, once you get the pictures, it's just pictures. It's the same thing it would be on paper.
Did you like the video? Do you think those should be allowed?
Kind of middle, kind of helps the offense more than it helps the defense. So, anytime it does that, indifferent.
Is the paper copy still available to you?
Yeah, the paper copy is still available, so you can take it either way. So it's the same thing. It's like the paper copy in digital form, I guess.
So who on the team is technologically averse and wants the paper copy all the time?
Earl likes the paper copy. I don't think he's technologically averse, but sometimes you have a hard time swiping it with the gloves on, so you got to take your glove off and do all that, and he doesn't feel like doing all that, so he gets the paper copy and he can just flip it.
So it's really just the same thing, just in a.
It's the exact same thing, but in the tablet form. Like it'd be like putting pictures, just swiping through pictures instead of flipping it in real time.
Anything else?
Thank you.